and welcome to another episode of the Bella Grace podcast, where we are helping high achievers break free from mindsets, behaviors, and addictions that are holding them back from unlocking their true potential. And today we are doing that by talking to Robert Lee. Rob, you go by
hmm
Rob. He lives in Dallas, Georgia, which is funny because I live in Dallas, Texas.
hmm
He's an AI Branding Academy partner, AI Persona Method certified, REEA Gold Standard instructor. You're going to have to tell me what all these things
Of
are
course, of
because
course.
I have no idea. And a member of the Paulding, Georgia Board of Realtors. Did I say that right?
You
Balding?
did. You
Okay.
did.
His his marketing agency, the
Leasix.
Leasix, thank you,
Yes.
agency helps real people make real money in real estate. I love that. With AI employees by helping real estate professionals see people beyond the listing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey to get to where you are, and what all this stuff means.
Absolutely. So I'm going to Tarantino it a little bit and say right now life is fantastic. Take a lot of trips to Disney every year with my wife and girls where I get yelled at about everything that goes on at Disney parks. But life is good. Life is just a wonderful, wonderful place. 2.5 years ago, much different story. I had a successful business by any stretch of the measure, or at least what people would have saw from the outside, and the business was running well. It was a direct mail marketing business in addition to the consulting I had. And then, you know, tell God your plans if you want to see him giggle, right?
Yeah, that's
Um,
my favorite saying. Is it, I
yeah,
think it's a Yiddish saying.
I
To
believe so. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I think you're right. But in reality, God was watching a different set of plans unfold. And in August of 2022, my wife and I were expecting our third child. She's about 6 or 7 months pregnant. And then just randomly, one day, our son was gone. And you go through a grieving process as a couple. You go through it individually in your own ways. Husbands and wives definitely grieve very differently, but you grieve through it together. And we started to get through it. Now, obviously, when that happened, I stepped away from that business, and that was the first wheel that fell off. Started to get everything kind of moving in the right direction again. And then in February of 2023, my dad just passed away in a doctor's chair. Went in for an eye
Wow.
exam and had what was likely a ventricle fibrillation. And the last thing I ever said to my dad was yes in a text message. And so I was on a flight out to Salt Lake from Atlanta, and saying goodbye to a man that couldn't say goodbye back to me. And my father raised us. I mean, when my parents separated when I was young, it was my dad who took us under his wing, and he had children at a significantly younger age than I did. And so when you're in your early 30s and raising three kids under 10 by yourself, you look up to what that man did for you when you're in your own time of life where you have your own children, your own life. So, anyways, needless to say, that's when all the rest of the wheels came off. And if you want a book on how to destroy a multi-million-dollar business in just 4 months, I can write that book cover to cover. Because by June 2023, I was shutting down the shop and beginning the bankruptcy process. And so I was
Wow.
literally just starting from nowhere. Uh, but again, it's, the beauty of God's love for us is that he feels pain just like we do. I have no doubt about that. Like my faith tells me that he can shield himself from those feelings, but I believe being created in his image means that his emotions are far richer than ours. And I think what he needed me to do was just be with my family, grieve over everything that had happened to me and start to process it. And once I got through that grief process, or you never really get through it, but once I got through that stage of the grief process, I finally had some freedom in my life because I wasn't really doing a whole lot to lean into what the economy was starting to move towards, and that is an AI powered economy. And so, fast forward to now in April 2025, and I'm running what I consider, not what other I don't know what other people consider successful or not successful. I consider it a successful marketing agency that is powered by AI employees, and I spend more time than anything with my two beautiful girls, my beautiful wife, having conversations with friends, meeting new friends that live in a much bigger version of Dallas than the one I live in, and going out and just making the world a happier place. And that is the story over the last couple of years, and how I had the capability to have this conversation with you right now.
That's amazing. Like that is wow. Yeah. Um, your story reminds me of my own because I've been through a lot of things too. And when I'm listening to your story, I'm like, any one of those things would have taken someone else out for good. Like the bankruptcy. That
Hmm.
is a blow that some people never recover from.
True.
The loss of a child, like that is something people don't always recover from. That's something that marriages don't always make it through,
Very true. Very true.
you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, there are a lot of reasons why I was able to approach that very difficult season and those very difficult moments, partially because I was such a moron when I was younger that I was able to get through being an idiot pretty well, unscathed, and survived. Part of it is that I was at the right season in life when I met my wife, and it just happened to be after a very, very bad breakup and a relationship that was not healthy for me or the other person. It wasn't healthy for either one of us. But it was that at that point in my life where I finally said, you know what, I would be able to survive if I was on my own for forever. And then, sure enough, that's when God said, I've got somebody for you. So I'm gonna encourage you to click on that ad for Match.com and go fill out a profile. And that's how I ended up meeting my wife, right? And my wife and I are night and day different. I'm a dreamer. She's a realist. Uh, I I consider myself an organized person, but my organization is very different from what her organization is. She's a nurse, right? I mean, she is dealing literally with life and death situations in many cases, and I'm sitting here just slinging BS, according to a lot of people. So, uh, it, like I said, it's just I there are a lot of reasons why it is that I could not have recovered from that. I'd just like to think that, you know, God believed in me, and so I went out and found my belief in Him and found my belief in myself through that process. And I will say that I believe anybody is capable of going through any set of difficulty when they're able to look at themselves in the mirror and say, "You can do this. You just have to be willing to make that choice." And I just had that time in my life where I was able to, with clarity, make those choices I needed to make to be in this moment right now.
Yeah. So I, like your dad, had kids young, a
Hmm.
kid. I was 21 when I got pregnant with my daughter, or I was 20 when I got pregnant with my daughter. I had her when I was 21.
Hmm.
I was freshly sober from teenage years spent using drugs to deal with grief, trauma, all the things.
Hmm.
I got sober when I was 20. I got sober December of 2005. I found out I was pregnant June of 2006. So I was literally 6 months sober when I got pregnant.
Hmm.
Um, and I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have a kid. I can't be a truck stop waitress for the rest of my life
Hmm.
because I truly wanted my daughter to have a better life than I had. And so I went back to school, found out I was pregnant in like June. By July, I was enrolled back in the community college and
Hmm.
working to try to fix all of the damage that I did when I tried to go to college while I was on drugs and dropped out and ruined my GPA and ended up owing money to financial aid and all that. I was cleaning up all those messes.
Hmm.
My daughter was born in January of 2007. In October of 2007, her dad was sentenced to 15 years in prison.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And I had a choice. And mind you, okay, so you're talking about your faith. I was introduced to God. I was raised Catholic, so I always had a relationship, or I always knew God existed. I knew God was there. But I was really introduced to like Jesus, Christianity, and having a relationship with God, like a personal relationship with God, and learning who his character was. Like you said, you think he feels emotions. I do too, because we're made in his image.
Hmm.
And I think it breaks his heart when we are making decisions that he knows are going to harm us. But I know that he's going to use it for good, regardless of what happens, right? And that's our hope.
Hmm.
That's our faith. But I was introduced to God and having a personal relationship with him by a man who was a guy, not a man, a boy. We were in high
Hmm.
school who was abusing me and who was in every sense of the word, right? Manipulative, like coercive, all the
Hmm.
things. He introduced me to God. He was our youth leader at our Baptist church. He introduced me to God. So when I was doing drugs, in and out of jail, and then finally got sober and found out I was pregnant, and then my daughter's dad went to prison, like my faith was the only thing that held me together. And I, now looking back, I have moments where I think I wish I was further along. If X wouldn't have happened, I'd be further along because now I'm turning 40 in June and I'm just now finally. I went back to school 18
Yeah.
years ago, right? 18 years ago, I started my journey to become a drug counselor.
Hmm.
And I am just now in my last year of getting my degree so that I can sit for the licensure exam to be an LPC. But along the way, I there were times when I was like, I should be further along. I that business shouldn't have crashed. That, this whatever. And now I look back and I say, God's timing was perfect along the path. And I was exactly where I needed to be at each season, just like you were exactly where you needed to be to meet your wife.
100%.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not a theologian by any stretch of the measure. There are people that can pastor to you and witness to you far better than I can. So I'm not trying to sit there and say this is what you should have faith in. Because I'm not even sure how to define it myself. And it's a knowing, right? It isn't a matter of belief. It is an actual knowing at this point that because we're created in his image and we have these immense capabilities to feel pain at the same time we feel joy, that I don't necessarily think he even he doesn't put us in a place. He puts in us a confidence that he has that things can be better tomorrow if you're willing to make the choice. Now, again, is that theologically sound? I don't know. But I know it to be true because I know that's what he's done. And what's really wild about all of this is that I was an atheist for a very long time, and not because of anything that somebody did or said, but just because it didn't make sense.
Mhm.
And it didn't make sense because I was looking at it very logically. Well, the thing about life is we don't make decisions logically. We use logic to justify the decisions that we make, but we make decisions emotionally. We answer why something needs to be done in our lives, and that why doesn't make sense to anybody except for us and maybe the person that we're making that decision with. And so when I started to look at that, I said, well, logically, all of this illogical nonsense makes sense, right? It just makes sense to me. It's empowering and it's fulfilling. And like you, there have been moments prior to the last couple of years where I just said things should be better than this. Things should be things should be happier than this. Why are you so miserable in this successful business that you have? And the truth was is my heart wasn't in it. And
Yeah.
so I now get stressed out like everybody does. I have a daughter that's just like me when I was 4 years old, which means who the hell knows what's going to happen today? Uh, and I have another daughter that's just like my wife, which means she's very calm, very patient, very loving, but on the same token, can be downright mean sometimes. My wife is Cuban, right? And if she just has that capability to just shut me down with that ice cold stare that just gives me chills. So, and our second or our older daughter is just like that too. So, all that to say, yes, stress is in life, but it's not overwhelming by any stretch of the measure. It just is a natural part of life's cycles, and you just have to make the choice to weather them, and you have to make your choice to stay calm when things are going great as well, when you feel just unstoppable in the world. So it's just given me an ability to go out there and do what I actually love, which is be around people and connect with people and do that same thing that my old man was so fantastic at, which is just have a conversation with everybody about anything, even if it leads to nothing. It just makes the day a better day for me.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm really similar too. I do um, a lot of calls, and my husband is like, well, what was that for? Because my husband is very logical, like your wife. And I
Mm-hmm.
am the dreamer. I am the creator. I am the creative brain. And he is like numbers, logic.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually an atheist for the same reasons that you are, like, or were. It would like it just doesn't make sense to him.
Yeah.
And people ask us all the time, like, how does y'all's marriage work? Y'all are so polar opposite on everything. And my Christian friends will ask me all the time, like, how are you married to someone who doesn't believe in God? And I'm like, we just respect each other's beliefs. I don't push my beliefs on him. He doesn't push his beliefs on me. He goes to church with me if I ask him to, and
Mm-hmm.
he just takes away like a logical lesson from the sermon. He's like, this is practical, something that I can
Mm-hmm.
apply to my life. And we just go about our day. We even talk about the sermon
Yeah, absolutely.
afterwards. It just we're a lot like y'all. And I was laughing because you said your wife is Cuban. I saw a reel the other day that was like, Latinas can shut you down
Yeah,
in the most loving way possible.
it's really strange, right? Because everybody thinks, oh, Latina, Hispanics, they're all this. Oh, they're not all the same,
No,
even though people assume they are. And there's something about Cubans. They are just cold-blooded killers.
they are. And it's
Cold-blooded killers in a very different way. Very
Yep.
different way than say, a Mexican American or South American or Colombian
Or
or anything like
Puerto Rican or
or Puerto
whatever. Yeah,
Rican. Yeah,
they are a breed all their own. Yeah, no, I
they
totally
are.
agree.
Yeah, they are. So, and again, it creates fun and in a weird dynamic. And I make that comment all the time. Like I don't understand how it is that we click. And then my wife will make a deep cut reference to The Office or Parks and Rec. I'll know exactly what she's talking about. Finish the line. And then I'm like, oh, that's why. Because we have the same sense of humor. We see things and laugh at things in very much the same way. So, again, I'm fairly positive too that God's a little bit of a crazy old man who just loves to hug everybody and loves to laugh and loves to giggle. And better way to do that than having two people that are opposite from one another come together in life and uh, create a family that he gets to just sit back in his chair and say, that's a good thing right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, God has the most twisted sense of humor. I
Mhm.
think that he is up there laughing at us when we make the same mistake. And eventually he's like, okay, child, come on,
Yep, yep.
get your act together. Enough's enough. Like, this is the last time we're going around this mountain.
Which is the same thing we do with our own kids, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get it. I get the feeling. I
Yeah.
absolutely get the feeling.
Yeah. So, what are some, if someone is walking through that season of uncertainty, um, kind of not knowing what's next, because I know you were in a similar situation, like what would you tell them?
The first thing you have to do, you just have to do it, and you have to do it like taking a walk. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're going to be okay. You have to do that. You have to do that. It may not be you're okay right now. It's never going to be you are a perfect person, but you have to be willing to show yourself some grace through any season in life. Because there are people around you, believe it or not, there is somebody there in your life. You may not have even connected to them directly yet. It may be 2 or 3 degrees away. There is somebody that will share that grace with you. Now, again, I was blessed that I had my wife because before I even finished the sentence saying, I'm shutting down this business, she was like, please come home. We just want you here. That's it. That's all that matters. There are other people that have far, far more difficult situations than I had to go through. And so it's very easy for me to say that in my situation. But the truth of the matter is, you cannot get to a stage in life where you can be happy if you are not willing to forgive yourself for everything that you consider a mistake. You just can't. So you have to just have grace. And then once you show yourself grace, it becomes, I don't want to say routine, but very easy to accept the consequences of the decisions that you make. In fact, you welcome the negative consequences for the decision you make because you understand it's part of the process of earning grace from other people the same way you've earned it from yourself. That's the best way that I can say it. And again, easier said at this moment, but we're all in those situations. And if you're a business person like you and I are, or you work for a hospital like my wife does, or you're a stay-at-home parent, doesn't matter. Look at yourself in the mirror and just say, you're going to do okay.
Mhm.
You're going to be fine. That's it. If you can start with that, it makes every step after that, I believe, firmly, very, very easy as you continue that journey along.
Yeah, I agree. So that I feel like you're speaking from me because
Yeah.
it's very similar to what I teach of finding freedom through grace,
Mm-hmm.
knowing it, receiving it, and giving it. And the receiving piece is not just receiving grace from others, it's receiving it from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say that is that's step two. Step one is knowing grace. And I don't know if you can hear my child sneezing. She sneezes really loudly, but
No, I didn't hear it.
okay, good. Uh, but step one, I think we have to teach people to recognize grace, know what
Mm-hmm.
grace is, right? Because until they know what grace is, they can't give it to themselves. But I love what you said of forgiving yourself because that is giving yourself grace.
Oh,
Like you
100%.
have to forgive yourself first. You have to look at yourself as the person that you were in that situation, making the best decisions that you knew how to make at that moment.
Mm-hmm. That's it. 100%.
You
100.
now, as a new business owner of this new business venture have the wisdom
Mm-hmm.
from being the man with the failed business. So, of course, you can make better decisions, but you still have to go back and forgive yourself for losing the first business or making the whatever it was, right? Like whatever that is, because until you do, you can't take those lessons with you into this new place.
100%. I mean, that's the thing about that business is I bought it, right? And I bought it and had this immense sense of regret as I was going through that process. Like, I never should have done this. You knew better, and yet you still did it. And I mean, there's a whole again. There's a very leading chapter of the book in that whole process. Because what I essentially bought was not a business, but somebody's job. That's what it was. They had a very successful job for themselves that they had the responsibility of keeping at all costs. And so when I bought this business, it had no sales process, it had no prospecting, it didn't have a CRM or anything like that. You know, the that base business technology in their tech stack. And I knew better. I knew better when I signed those closing papers. And yet I looked at myself and said, "You're just getting cold feet. You decided you want to do this, and I didn't listen to myself." Well, that could, I mean, that could lead anybody to be gun shy about doing anything. And you're absolutely right, though. I mean, if you look back and say, you know what, yeah, you made a bad decision, move on from it. Then that's how I'm able to operate the business I have now and keep my family happy and healthy and contribute to my family and in ways that go beyond financial contributions. I mean, I take my daughter to the bus stop every day. I pick her up on Wednesdays. So tonight I'll take her to dance class. I would never have had that opportunity beforehand. And I don't think I would have appreciated it had I not gone through that failure as well. That's the other thing about all of this. So, I mean, again, we can wax philosophic and eloquent about failure, but at the end of the day, we're all failures at something, right? Because we're imperfect. We're just human beings. I don't, I, a failure is what it is. It's just an opportunity to improve. And that's what I felt I've done. And I think I'm better today at being a husband and a wife and a person, a conversationalist than I was just a couple of years ago when I didn't give myself the room to do all of that and feel all of that and express all of that. You know, it's really funny. Just the other day, I had this great sales call, and I was so overwhelmed by it that the AI Branding Academy, so I'll go into talking about what each of those little alphabet
Yeah.
letters mean. The AI Branding Academy is owned by a gentleman by the name of Mark DeGrasse in Austin, so right down the road from you. Although in Texas, nothing is right down the road because it's so damn big, but closer than Atlanta. Anyways, Mark's a great guy. And we have this great relationship. Well, he has this colleague that he's worked with that I've learned a tremendous amount from, but I spent like 13 seconds talking to her. Her name is Christine Marie. And if you're in marketing, look her up. She's a blessing to this world. She's absolute brilliance and very emotionally intelligent. Well, I was so moved by how well that sales call went because I follow so many of the things that she teaches. I just messaged Mark and was like, dude, I can you share a message with her for me if I just record a video and share it? And he's like, well, why don't I just connect you two and you can say it directly? And that's what I did, right? I shared this video with her and just kind of poured my heart as to how much gratitude I had for what she teaches me. And even though I'm some anonymous Joe that she couldn't pick out of a lineup, I never would have had the sense to say thank you like that to somebody just a couple of years ago. Now I can. And she's a wonderful person. We just had a little discussion back and forth about it. You can't have those moments in life if you don't have grace and faith and excitement for being connected in this human experience. I mean, and there are tons of other stories like that, just tons of other stories that I could again write a book with, about all of these amazing people I've met at this stage of life because I just approach it from the perspective of let's make every moment count. Let's be around other human beings that we can pour into and they can pour into us. And so, being an AI Branding Academy partner, earning that AI persona method, which it's funny with that story too, because the gentleman that developed that is a guy by the name of Jeff Hunter, and Jeff is an incredibly smart guy, very controversial on Facebook right now because he posts some very provocative things about the political environment that we're in. Don't care. Jeff's brilliant and a good dude. But I got his certification because I had to file for bankruptcy and liquidate some cash in my bank account. So I literally bought that certification so that I could file my bankruptcy filing because I had to get under a certain cash amount. And that was the only way that I could do it fast, right? Otherwise I'd just kind of be stingy and trickle down to it. So I bought his certification and then I got exposed to these amazing people in the world. And then I was able to express to him how grateful I am for how amazing of a human experience I have just watching him teach uh, how we can use AI in our lives better and how that can help us connect with our clients and help them make money and all of these wonderful things. So again, it's all of these little experiences that are very profound for me, even if they're not profound for anybody else. They are very profound for me. Never would have had that opportunity to appreciate them had I not had moments in my life that felt like the world was against me or stacked against me. I mean, it's just and there are literally millions of people across the world that can say that same thing in their own way. And I really want the millions of people, the billions of people who feel like the world is stacked against them to be able to see it's not. They just have to be willing to reach out to the world and say, I need help.
Yeah, and I think that's the key point is you went from bankruptcy, losing your business, being in immense grief. You put one foot in front of the other, and now you're on this side.
Hmm.
And I think for people who are still on that side, who are in the midst of the bankruptcy or in the midst of the grief, it can be hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm.
But there is light. You and I are proof of that. And I share the same experience. I get to go for a walk with my daughter in the morning, every morning, and then we get to have breakfast. And then I can leisurely make my way to the work day. You
Hmm.
know, it's that is something I prayed for. That is something I thought I would never be able to do. I never thought I would have the freedom to do that because in the past, I was rushing off to work, woke up at 6 in the morning, rushed off to work, didn't come home until 6 in the evening or later. Like that didn't exist. And now that I am on the other side of heartbreak, the other side of uncertainty, made it through. I did what you did. I put one foot in front of the other, and now I am here. And
Hmm.
it gives you such a beautiful perspective, like you were saying, beautiful perspective on things that other people might seem as mundane. To us, they're
Hmm.
beautiful.
That's it. That's it. And they can be both though. That's just it. There's nothing wrong with our experience in life being boring and mundane or meaningless to somebody else. It doesn't have to be meaningful to everybody. It just has to be meaningful to the people that matter at that moment, in that point of time. Your family, your friends, your loved ones, and if you want to go share it, go share it. And if people say, I'm cool, don't take offense at it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to spend your life being resentful, and it's just too short for that. Right? You don't
Yeah.
want resent being the word written on your tombstone. You want loving, appreciative, inspiration, whatever that superlative word might be. Because at some point, it's all going to be forgotten. So you want to make sure it's as memorable as it can be at the point of time that you're memorable. That's just kind of the way I look at it now. And I I'm happy with that. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. So tell us a little bit about what you do because you've told us AI, whatever. What is it that you do?
So we work with real estate professionals to understand their why. Why do they do what they do? They have to understand that for everything, but then take that understanding of why they're involved in this profession, why they enjoy it so much, and then start to utilize what we call AI employees to take the mundane tasks that you have to do in any work that you do and automate those processes using artificial intelligence. So ChatGPT gives you custom GPTs, Claude gives you projects, Perplexity gives you spaces. These are the three base platforms that we use in our own company. And we essentially document every process we can, make sure it's repeatable, consistent, and predictable, set it up as a project or a custom GPT, and when we need it, we use it. And in real estate, one of the things that makes it so hard, I mean, 75% of agents fail in the first year. I saw a statistic that said last year, 80% of agents didn't do a single transaction, which means you paid for a license, you have to pay for maintaining that license, and you're not making any money off of it. Part of that is because they are so spread thin. They are so sent in 900 different directions that there's a real need for documenting and understanding what it is that you do so that you can ask for help. So all of that stuff I talked about showing yourself grace, realizing you can't do everything on your own, that's the key to success, especially in this industry, because a real estate agent is a business of one. You are not your broker's employee. You are your own boss, and your broker, you're a contractor for them. So what we do is we help agents put those systems in place and monetize it. So for agents specifically, we have something called a $30,000 networking framework where they can use AI to actually become marketers for their networking activities and actually make recurring revenue off of it. We have something called the 90-minute marketing department for brokers that they can monetize by offering it to their agents and give them an entire marketing and branding system using AI. It's basically just helping people make the most value of their time they possibly can so that they have real, genuine freedom to choose what they want to do. And if you're a workaholic, go out and be a workaholic. Go out and make $7 billion in real estate if that's what you want to do. Or if you're like me, you hate working, you just want to be with your family, you just want to take a nap in the afternoon, you have the freedom to be able to do that. That's genuine freedom, is being able to make a choice where you have mitigated and planned for any potential negative consequences. And so when we can do that in real estate, we feel like we're making the world a better place. And that's essentially the conversation we have with people. And there's a lot of nuance to that. The name Leasix comes from Lean Six Sigma. I'm a big proponent of defining your processes and reducing variability. We have an entire sales script that is built around the theory of constraints, which, free recommendation, go by The Goal and It's Not Luck by Eliyahu Goldratt. Best two books you'll ever read in business and life. And we incorporate that into what it is that we do. And we just go out and we try to make sure every moment counts in whatever fashion we do. And it makes us happy and we make good money doing it in the company.
Wow, that's amazing. It is, that statistic blows me away. I know a
Mhm.
lot of realtors, so I'm actually, because in my photography business, I worked with a bunch of
Mhm.
realtors. So I rarely cross post my like mailing list
Mhm.
unless it's something big, but I am going to share this episode
Please, please.
with my real estate people in my photography business because I think it's really powerful for them. This is amazing because I think that's common across a lot of industries, not just real estate, because I feel like a lot of coaches are the same way.
Hmm.
They are paying big bucks for these certifications and then they're not able to get clients for whatever reason. So I think what you're doing for real estate agents is amazing.
Well, thank
And
you.
and starting with the why is powerful.
Mhm.
I start all of my clients off with figuring out your why.
You have to know it. You cannot operate. Again, we are emotional creatures. We have evolved in the way that we have to decide things emotionally. And we'll figure out facts and figures to justify it logically, including your very realist husband and my very realist wife. Very emotionally driven people. Guarantee you. Well, I know it in case of my wife. I'm gonna push all my chips in and go all in that your husband's the same way. But it is a powerful thing when you can look at somebody in real estate who is constantly worrying about where the next deal is going to come from and be able to show them not how much money they can pay me, but how much money I can make them in just a month, right
Yeah.
now, near immediately. I mean, that is so rare in business that somebody is coming to you and you don't have to hold on to your wallet. Makes me feel, it just makes me get excited thinking about it. The next client we're going to get to work with, right? Whoever that might be, because it's freeing. It gives us more time to connect on things that may or may not have anything to do with real estate, but I guarantee you will have a positive impact in the way that you approach the profession and your role in it. Like it's makes the world. I could wax eloquent about it all day.
Yeah. It's amazing. I see your passion. I see your heart
Thank
of
you.
like giving people that freedom that we have found. And that is a beautiful thing. And I know that's probably your why.
It is. It absolutely is. 100%.
Yeah, yeah. And it is so important to have your why. Like you said, at the root of all of us, we are emotional creatures. And when the tough gets going, like you have to be tied down to your why.
Hmm.
Because when you're blowing in the wind of uncertainty or whatever, your why is going to keep you grounded. Like it is what is going to pull you back in
Hmm.
and say, this is why you got to keep going. This is why we're going to push through. And it fuels you to keep going when the economy is bad, when everyone says the market is crashing, when whatever it is, like your why is going to keep you going. So thank you for
100%.
having that at the center of what you do.
Well,
Uh,
thank you for letting me share that. I appreciate it.
yeah. Okay. So where can everybody find you?
Absolutely. So if you would like to spend some time talking with me, you can go to leasix.agency /general. That's LESIX.agency /general. Book an hour on the calendar and we'll go solve the world's problems. And from there, we can help diagnose for you what your why statement is, but most importantly, how you can unconventionally go out and make an offer to people to make their life better. And you can walk away from that meeting with a real and genuine understanding of how you can go out and do what you need to do. And as well, at our website, leasix.agency, we have a tremendous amount of learning resources and opportunities for people to improve their craft, especially in real estate. But really, I mean, these are lessons that can be used for any small business owner. You employ a couple of people, you employ just yourself, you definitely need to be able to hear some of these things that we talk about AI and the human experience and how you can connect with it. But I'd love to see you on a camera. I'd love to see you on a Zoom call just like this. And please do so at leasix.agency /general.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on today. I truly appreciate it. And I think this is going to be super beneficial for the person who is out there in the midst of it. Give them some hope.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody, until next time, be well, be kind, and may you find some joy this week. Bye.